Welcome, everybody. We will get started. Thank you so much for being here for our Emergency Management 101. We are very excited to have our very own David Schold from our Salt Lake County Internal Emergency Management Division. So he knows all about emergency preparedness backwards and forwards and has so much to share with all of you. We have been talking about emergency management and being prepared for a crisis all month long with our Wellness Meets Readiness campaign. And so we're excited to have an expert here to talk with all of you. But I will turn the time over to David to share with you a little bit about what he does here at the county and then jump right into the presentation.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name's David Schold, and I'm the Director of Internal Emergency Management for Salt Lake County Government. I'll tell you a little bit more about my division in the presentation, but looking forward to speaking through a number of different response protocols and looking to have an engaging conversation. Before I sort of jump into things, I'm going to do a little bit of a engagement / quiz or test for you all. If you could all post the location where you work in the chat, it would be helpful for me as we sort of talk about different circumstances and situations. Wherever you work, whether here in Government Center or at a library or elsewhere, or at home, uh, my goal today is to give you information that empowers you to respond to a number of different critical incidents. This is not ICS 100 course. So I will not, if you want that training, I'll happy to engage Tara Bahunin and her team in providing that to you all. So Sadie, am I good to go?
We're all good.
All right, excellent. Well, I started as Director of Internal Emergency Services in February. I was appointed as part of the mayor's administration. I previously have worked with Salt Lake County as a consultant. You may or may not remember me. I worked on active threat training around Salt Lake County. In my previous role as a consultant, I led numerous active threat preparedness activities around the country. So whether or not you participated here in Government Center, we also were at a theater, a senior center, a library, worked with a great team of trainers on that. I also worked in COVID-19 response and recovery as a coordinating officer supporting emergency management, the health department, and generally county government and COVID. When I got appointed, I went in front of council chambers, council, and they turned all ghostly because I don't know if you remember my weekly reports to council during COVID. A little bit more about internal services, which I am only half of. Uh, Emergency services is comprised of two entities, internal emergency management, which is me. I'm a shop of one, and my role is to support the policy group during disasters and crisis incidents, as well as work on continuity of operations and help with trainings across the county government footprint. Although I am situated in the mayor's office, I work across all elected agencies within Salt Lake County government. So you might have seen me over in the district attorney's office or downstairs in the treasurer's office supporting preparedness. My other half uh, of emergency services is Salt Lake County Emergency Management, which is focused on external emergencies and disaster response and preparedness. So Tara and her team focus on working with municipalities, public safety agencies, should an urban interface wildfire or tornado or some other incident take place that affects the entire county, Tara works that response. So it's a bit of a yin and a yang relationship, but we are here to support you in either way. And I'll give you my information. You feel free to chat with me at any time over WebEx or set up a meeting. I am happy to connect with you on how to enhance or improve preparedness at your facilities. So just a little bit of a caveat. Uh, Treasurer's office, those participating, I apologize if you're rehearing this for a second or third time. Um, but participation matters. This was built as an in-person training, but feel free to ask questions in the chat. Sadie will be helping me, and I have the chat open right in front of me as well. This is a no-fault learning environment. Some of us know about training for a disaster. Some of us have gone through disasters. So don't hesitate to ask what you might think is a ridiculous question. In emergency management, there is no ridiculous questions. So be mindful, engage in the training, and again, I'm here for you. Also be mindful that this is awareness level training. I will not be demonstrating how to put on a tourniquet or anything like that. I'm happy to do those in-person trainings, but just a quick run through of some different scenarios over the course of the remainder of the hour. And then I do have QR codes for trainings if you're interested. And then I'll talk a little bit about a project that I've been working with the Comprehensive Security Working Group and Emergency Management Working Group on standardizing response manuals for county facilities. So let's just start off with the basics. Why do we prepare? Well, emergencies happen. They could be large or small. We might think that they're minute in scale or they're very severe in scales. They happen anywhere, at any time, at any location. No community is immune. And what we need to do is work together to prepare. How we do that is knowing what to do empowers you more during a critical situation where your emotions, your mechanical skills might be under state of duress because of an incident that's taking place. So the more that we start talking about what to do and how to do it, it makes you more comfortable if you're ever in those situations. And I hope that, we're never in those situations, but just wanting to make sure we're working together. And ultimately, we want to reduce risk to ourselves and others, our loved ones, families, friends, our customers, our peers and colleagues here in Salt Lake County government. So what we're going to be doing today, I'm going to run through a few basic scenarios of critical incidents that may or may not take place. These have been built where it's not necessarily templatized to government center or library, but emergencies happen day or night. You're actually 75% of the time, an emergency is more likely to happen outside of work than inside of work. So whether you're on a road trip, you're commuting into work, you're at home, there's more likelihood at a restaurant, you're more likely to have to deal with an emergency then than here in government center. So these are universally applied, and be mindful of that as we approach today. I will just caveat, this was built for government center, but I will talk a little bit about making sure you have your evacuation zones and other things that might be facility centric in place. So I'll answer any questions you might have. Understanding situations can be highly situational. I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole or multiple rabbit holes or a prairie dog colony tunnel system. of, well, if it's 6 o'clock at night on a Wednesday and I'm stuck in traffic and I'm right underneath the, I-15 bridge on 33rd and there's an earthquake, what we're going to do? No, no, no. We're going to keep it general, and I'm just going to, if we start going down rabbit holes in the chats, I'll just sort of bring us all up. No offense to anyone, to more generic conversations. And in a this was built, as I mentioned, for in-person, where we actually conduct exercises and go through a number of different scenarios. We're not going to do that today, but if you or your teams are interested in doing that, please feel free to contact me. So we're going to cover 5 basic scenarios today: evacuation, shelter in place, active threat, de-escalation, and earthquake. Uh, We'll also have in the QR code section medical emergencies, where if you scan the QR codes, and we'll provide these out in a one-pager after the training. If you want just-in-time training on how to use an AED, CPR, or a tourniquet, we have those trainings available as well. As I mentioned, we've built this training out for universal application, and just be mindful of that. As we work through, even, when I build out emergency plans for county government, I can't make it where it's exactly specific and it's, turnkey. And in a disaster, in an emergency, you need a lot of flexibility and adaptability and able to work through problems as they might arise. I give an analogy a lot about flying airplanes through turbulence. When pilots, fly through turbulence, they're not like holding the controls as hard as they can and trying to keep the plane straight as they can. During turbulence, they sort of let the controls go a little bit so that the plane can move around the winds as they work through the turbulent air. Yeah, and I mentioned this already. This is awareness level training. Engage, ask questions, and as you think about and adaptability and flexibility in your emergency plans, apply these scenarios. I also want to say that no one can put our feet in the shoes of others. All of us have gone through our own situations, our own crises during our lives. Some of us have gone through earthquakes like I did for the very first time, and that wasn't a fun experience for me. Others have, been in other, human-caused acts of violence and things like that. So just be mindful as we work through these scenarios and as you engage in emergency preparedness. No one is exactly right. There are leading practices out there, but we have to be mindful of that as well. So we're going to start off with evacuation. Evacuation means the location where you are at is unsafe. Plain and simple. So in the chat, if you want to start chatting at your facility where you work, what is your evacuation point for if something happens while you're working? Be mindful that exits, like an airplane, when we do the pre-flight safety briefings, you want to be mindful of the exits and where they are. The exits that might be closest to you might be locked, might be closed. That area might be where the incident is occurring, and so you really don't want to go into that location. So if you can, have multiple places to evacuate from, so that whatever the scenario is, you could work through that problem. Don't try to gather personal effects. Don't try to gather equipment around you. Even in a fire drill, when evacuation is occurring, evacuation drill is taking place, you just want to go because you don't know if this is a fire, if this is a hazardous material, a gas leak, something like that. Gathering materials and trying to take it with you slows you down. For those in government center, we do have evacuation procedures. Uh, Many of us might remember to evacuate to the grassy knoll, just right across the between sort of the garage area and the high rises. That is no longer the case. You might have in your offices a map. If you don't, please let me know, and I'll be happy to provide it to you. Where the southeastern parking lot is where all locations of government center will locate to. And you could see from the screen, we delineate between north building and south building, and then public area. We all have a responsibility to help our customers out, whether it's government center or the library or wherever you might be. So just be mindful of that. Um, don't go to the command post, unless you're needed at command. And that goes with all facilities. Just be mindful that it can be a very busy place at the command post, command area. That's where public safety will be working. Holly, you got it right on the spot there with the south parking lot of Government Center. So just work through those, make sure whether or not you're at Government Center or elsewhere, to do evacuation drills. And again, I will be happy to support evacuation drills and coordinating those if needed. The opposite of evacuation is shelter in place. Shelter in place uh, is a non-active threat related situation where it's dangerous to go outside, and so you want to go inside into an area that is closed, away from windows. Some scenarios that this might take place would be a protest that might be too close to comfort at a facility, where windows could be smashed, for example. It could be a tornado or a windstorm that flows on through, and it's dangerous to be near windows or outside. Uh, it might be other things like a a hazardous material, truck or something like that, where you don't want to be breathing from the outside air. So the idea is, if you hear shelter in place within Salt Lake County government, remove yourselves from locations where windows might be present. Find an area, a safe area, where you can convene until that shelter in place all clear has been given. And that will be given by public safety supporting the shelter in place operations. The uh, the next scenario that I'll be talking about is active threat, or in many cases, active shooter. The definition of an active threat is a act or attempted act of rapid mass murder in a confined and populated area. It doesn't necessarily need to be an active shooter. It could be a vehicular attack. It could be an edged weapon incident. There's a variety of different tools that have been used in active threats, and methodologies that the perpetrators might engage in. They can occur at any time, at any location, and as I mentioned, no organization's immune. So what we want to talk about is a non-linear. When I say non-linear, I must do this first, then this, then this. We want to empower you with different options, and given the situation that you're in, that you can make that decision of whether or not you run, whether or not you hide, whether or not you fight, whether or not you do all of those in different sequences in order to survive. So Salt Lake County government uses the leading practices of the Federal Bureau of Investigations of run, hide, fight. Run is get away as far as you can, as quickly as you can, should you hear gunshots or the active threat, somebody calling active shooter or active threat out in a location. Yeah, so move people if you can, but you are empowered to move yourself and take that decision and get out of the location. The second is hide or defend. You might have heard defend if you've done the active threat training courses with me previously, where you want to protect yourself in a location that can be fortified, where chairs, couches can be moved, doors can be closed, lights can be turned off, cell phones can be turned off, and you barricade yourself and provide as much distance and as much weight as you can in a safe way between where the perpetrator may be or could be and where you are. We've done, and again, I could do this in person a lot better, where you could look at the types of doors in your facilities. You know, if it's a door that opens out versus opens in, there's different methods to build a hide fortification for you and others to defend yourselves during an active threat. And this can be applied again at the office environment, but even at a restaurant, at a college, wherever you might be, you know, the practices still apply. And then last but not least is fight. This is there's no space that you can get in from away from the perpetrator, and you need to engage in self-defense. And we have practiced this before, and it works. Use any tool that you could provide, whether it's a stapler, whether it's scissors, whatever the case might be, to take the perpetrator down and fight for your life and the lives of others around you. And so you might have to engage, as I mentioned, in all three of these. Hopefully, the situation doesn't arise, but you need to be empowered to take whatever actions you need in order to stay alive. In terms of suspicious activity reporting and threat identification, there's actually a lot of methods out there that you can use to identify suspicious activity. When I say this, this isn't about prejudice. It's not about any sort of specific population group. It's more being mindful about individuals' behaviors. They might be walking with a gait. They might be wearing a long trench coat or alpine, gear when it's summer outside. They might not want to necessarily engage in eye contact or conversations or anything like that. So having sort of pre-threat behavior indicators is a potential issue, is a potential way to identify issues. So be observant, and I would encourage you, whether it's in suspicious activity, threat identification, or de-escalation. One of the best methods to, de-escalate or identify the threat is ask, very confidently, "Hello, how can I help you?" And disengage them in what they might be wanting to do or wanting to plan and work through that. Again, I do have methods of support, assistance, training on this, and we'll be able to help you with that. Again, please feel free to contact me. De-escalation is a method of communication, whether it's body language or verbal language, to de-escalate a situation that might be tense with individuals that might be, identified as a threat or talking about acts of violence. So some things about de-escalation, and human resources is putting together great training on this. You want to have active listening. You want to be empathetic to the individual. You want to be calm and respectful when engaging in these de-escalation tactics. I would also say know your limits. Don't try to put yourself in an awkward situation. Uh, Feel free to ask others for help, whether it's, writing on a, little sticker like, I need help with this, giving a colleague a phone call saying, there's a irate individual outside and I need help sort of working the problem, or calling Public Safety Bureau or your public safety agencies if that comes to circumstances. You want to avoid arguments. You want, as I mentioned, be empathetic, ignore any sort of challenge questions, and pivot away from challenge questions. Uh, and allow for silence. Silence can be quite a powerful tool for what I'd call strategic pauses to de-escalate the situation. It also shows that you're being mindful in how you're going to respond, that it isn't going to be an irrational response, that you're really trying to work the problem. And I would say also maintain your distance. Don't get super up close like that. And be non-threatening. Avoid body language that might be tense. Stay calm, cool, collected, and as I mentioned, work the situation if you can to a point where tension is eased and issues can be resolved, even if what they wanted they're not going to get. So the last is earthquake. Uh, for those who aren't familiar, Salt Lake County, like much of the Wasatch Front, sits on the Wasatch fault line. You could actually see the fault line on Wasatch Boulevard if you're on the East Bench. The the road, Wasatch Boulevard East, is one side of the fault, and the Wasatch Boulevard West is the other side of the fault. So always just be prepared for an earthquake. I remember in my very first experience in an earthquake, I was a consultant here in Salt Lake. I was living at the Courtyard Hotel, and I did everything wrong that you're supposed to do, including running downstairs into the underground garage in order to get my car out. All those things. So even emergency managers can bugger it up. So also be mindful, again, if you weren't part of the Magna earthquake, that aftershocks can take place, and aftershocks can be actually stronger than the main shock that occurred. And they might last days, weeks, even months after the initial main shock. I remember personally for me, the most frustrating part of the Magna earthquake was 30 days after, and we were still having aftershocks. And it was just like a mind issue for me as I was learning all about seismology and how to deal with an earthquake. So uh, we did the Great Shakeout across Salt Lake County government. If you're not familiar, it's three key actions to take if you can take them in the office space. Duck, get under a piece of sturdy furniture, a table, for example. Cover, make sure that you go under and you cover. Yeah, exactly. Lynn, 8 months of total post-traumatic stress from that earthquake. So uh, uh, cover your neck, cover your head, uh, get under, as mentioned, the table, and then hold on until the shock ends. If you're in a car, pull aside. If and what I've discovered is you're not really supposed to go under the door frame. I thought that might be an option. You want to find sturdy desks to huddle under until the main quake ends. Uh, I mentioned this before. Every incident can be traumatic, even as Lynn and I have just said, the Magna earthquake months after, it was a traumatic situation for me. Uh, a tornado can be a traumatic situation. A demonstration can, be a traumatic situation. We all handle our life experiences differently. And so whether it's yourself, your family, your teams that you work with, be mindful that people might be taking the incident differently, that a previous trauma or previous life experience might inform how an individual will act or react during the incident itself, as well as after the incident. So there are support systems out there. We do have, within uh, HR, the Employee Assistance Program, EAP. There's a variety of different tools that you have at your disposal to talk about trauma and work through a more trauma-informed approach to emergency preparedness and training. Uh, I will talk about it because it's part of my job. Continuity of operations, or COOP. Every agency and organization across Salt Lake County government has a COOP plan. That means, after an incident, government operations still need to function. They might be slowed down, they might alter, but we need to ensure that one way or another, government services can be provided at least for the essential tasks that need to take place. We just did earlier this month, and I see some familiar names and faces, the Continuity Cup, where a hazardous material within the scenario, a hazardous material spill in South Salt Lake forced mandatory evacuation of all facilities in South Salt Lake City for 7 days. And so how does your organization adapt to that scenario or any other scenarios, a cyber attack or the Olympics, that might force organizations to serve their customers differently? So I would encourage you all to ask your colleagues, who's in charge of your continuity plans. If you have any questions about continuity of operations, how they work, feel free to ask me. For those within the mayor's administration, uh, you might have been around during COVID and experienced this. Depending on the incident, you might be asked to redeploy from your normal job to support response operations. Within COVID, it was to support mass vaccinations, to help with awareness programs, outreach and engagement, issues that might help support response. I'm just thinking other scenarios of sheltering operation should there be a wildland fire or a flood. We might be asked to, instead of doing our normal day job, to do a alternative response operation. And so this is all coordinated at the executive level, but be mindful that this does take place. So that is sort of my main activity. Before I open it up to questions, and again, I'll provide these out, but if any of you are interested in, taking your cell phone and scanning, we do have QR codes. These are from the American Red Cross or CISA on very generic response activities, and these are provided in training. So CPR, training video for how to use an AED and how to operate a tourniquet if you need to. And just be mindful, tourniquets aren't just for active shooters, but any sort of critical wound that might affect your arteries, and you need to stop the bleeding. I also wanted to offer you all some additional trainings in de-escalation. It's a great training put on by CISA. It's 13 minutes long and talks about different techniques and tactics to use. Active threat training from the FBI. They actually changed this a few years ago from an office space to a bar or restaurant space. And I actually think that this is more useful than just an office space, despite us always thinking about an active shooter in the office, because it really takes the scenario and puts you in an alternate perspective and you really need to think about the run, hide, fight tactics. Bomb threats and suspicious packages. I started in February, as I mentioned. It's September. In my sort of tour around facilities and talking to people, I'm really surprised about how many people are asking for trainings on bomb threat and suspicious package recognition. So we've included trainings on those, and there'll be some additional training tools out there provided to staff and colleagues. And lastly, earthquakes, the duck cover, hold on, if you're interested in that. Before I open it up to questions, I did just want to offer this as a stay tuned. Um, we have been, again, working since February to now. I've been touring the facilities, talking to people, and our emergency response manuals are very contingent on the facility itself. So what I'm working with a team on is building a standardized template with response protocols in place that whatever building you're in, whether it's Viridian Center or the Treasury downstairs or the ECC in South Salt Lake, all of them will be easily recognizable and have the same type of information, albeit it might be tweaked for facility specific information like the evacuation zones, like you all mentioned. So just stay tuned for that. So with that, I am happy to indulge any questions you might have. If you want to put them in the chat, um, I'll stay tuned and read through them and try to answer them to the best of my abilities. So feel free to answer and ask questions, and then we'll go from there.
I have a question, David. I'm
Yeah,
wondering how our participants can balance being prepared for emergencies, but not living in fear. How do we find that balance?
that's a great question. And part of as I mentioned earlier in the training, they can emergencies can occur at any time at any location. What you don't want to do is build a Fort Knox bubble around you and think that's going to be the ultimate protection for you or your agency and organization. You need to be mindful of the situations that might be out there. You want to plan and prepare for them. For those here in Government Center and across the footprint, when we did the Great Shakeout, the Great Salt Lake Shakeout, I actually built coloring books for at home and the office because you want to one engage in not boring preparedness activities. You want to learn and be sure that you know what you're doing. And then you want it to be memorable, and you want it to almost be similarly sort of a reactionary rather than, oh man, I need to think through this really hard and deal with the situation. But everybody's themselves, each of us are an individual, but as a community, we need to work together and be mindful of that. So, yeah, it's a delicate question, but it's one that we all have to answer ourselves with our families and as an organization. Shane Norris, do you offer a tabletop training to help us know what to do during an emergency? Yes. I love building exercises. I equate myself, if you've ever seen Hunger Games or read Hunger Games, to the game masters that help destroy worlds. I am not a world destroyer. I'm a world builder. And so if you need tabletop training, and when I say tabletop training, these could be 15 minutes long. These could be 5 minutes long, or lightning round training that you just incorporate into your staff meetings, or a longer modular based training. More than happy to help you with that, Shane and the rest of you. So.
Thank you. How do we reach out to try to schedule something like that?
Hopefully you could see my screen, Shane. If you look
Yes.
me up in the directory, my last name Schuld, Schuld, or just message me at dschold@saltlakecounty.gov, or on WebEx, and happy to help build sort of a timing and work through that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? All right.
I'm not, yeah, I'm not seeing any on my end, but thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, no worries, and thank you for taking your lunchtime to join us. Again, I'm a resource. Emergency planning can't happen in a vacuum, and whether it's plans, training, or exercises, it's all about engagement and empowerment. So please be sure to connect and stay safe, everybody. Enjoy the last few days of National Preparedness Month, the first few days of fall. It was great to wake up at 48 degrees Fahrenheit. And thank you again. So stay safe, everyone.